Hello, this is Pixie doing another video. So I was chatting to a client today and he talked about diabetes, and that just got me thinking for a bit. I said, it's a fascinating subject. He said, oh, really? I said, yeah, it's an interesting, because it's more complicated than, you know, simply just insulin levels. And I thought, well, how's that any different from me? I have low and high sugar levels as well. And I thought to myself, well, most people think it's about sugar, and it's not. I think it's actually about fat. The body isn't able to process the fat so well, and so therefore it resorts to using a lot of sugar, and it burns its insulin levels out for your pancreas. And there's other issues there. But I think it's very much about the fat, because what happens if my body runs low on one energy source is it switches sources. And the thing about OMAD and about causing certain controlled stresses in the body is that you're encouraging your body to adapt and become more efficient. And that's why you lose weight and your health improves, skin improves, autophagy and so on, because you're triggering it to say we need to improve the system, we need an upgrade, we need the firmware. It's no different than a computer, like saying, hey, there's a problem here, let's get this fixed. And so it activate something more primal. When it doesn't, if you don't trigger that, then you don't improve, because your body doesn't have a reason to. So it's cause and effect through adversity. That's what you're looking at. And also for it's like if you create a problem and you prolong it with the fasting, your metabolism adapts to it. The body says, look, if you're going to cut the calories, we're going to stretch your energy levels out, and therefore we're going to create it so you can function, but you're not going to be functioning on full pumps basically, or anything like that, your full energy levels, and so you'll end up getting sleepy and tired. These are things to be aware of through the day. It's like last night, I mean, it's okay to be, if you've got your energy's low before you go to bed, fine, but you'll probably wake up and you'll feel still quite tired, but that's probably that I'm running on fats, and my body slowed itself down because it said, hey, you're going to go to bed now, so we're just going to slow the system down. But you've got no reason to spike your energy back up. Now this is where insulin is important, so I think it is possibly important for certain sugars and stuff to have it come into effect more in the morning time than it, or a time when you're going to be active. But then people do they basically it's the reverse of what people have been saying. They say to you with fasting is that you should train hard at the end of your fast. Yes, because you're going to force your body even further than it wanted to go, because you've increased the stress. And naturally, if you're hunting, your body can cope with that. But you could overdo it though, that's the only thing. You could have a burnout and then you just have to rest afterwards. But if you're kind of maintaining yourself throughout the day at a certain level, not necessarily. I mean, it's good to do exercise. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with exercise, but it's your effect. If you're trying to really, you blast it and your energy tank's on low, you'll get probably the maximum effect from the fast, but your recovery levels will be down as well. It take you longer to recover, so you might find that people that are weightlifting or they're doing that, maybe they're having 8 hours rest. Something else that happens with fasting and then your body's more efficient is that you may need less sleep. So you might, I mean, I've been starting to do is creeping into like 6.5 hours sleep or something. I do want to put it back to about 7. 7 is usually about my normal rate. But if I was doing extra work on top of that, I might want a prolonged recovery level. So I would end up sleeping more, and then when I do the exercise, and there's different exercise. Ones that basically you can tire your body out without really increasing your cardio, or you mix up your cardio. So it's really a mix of the different exercises. Like if you're walking around, you're utilising what's a kind of natural range, and so your body, why it helps it helps your circulation, while it helps your circulation and helps improve sort of the oxygenation of your body and moving toxins around, all sorts of things, just general activity. It's not it's not causing stress to cause change of the dramatic level. However, if you did a lot of it, then there's a kind of muscle memory to it as well, so your body would be more in tune with that. But if you push a lot of resistance in there, then the body will have to go through a change to adapt. So that's where it goes into the genesis. You know, it's a bit like swimming. Swimming's good cardio, but once you're good at it, it's not necessarily going to give you other abilities like improve your breathing, but it could do if you incorporate certain types of swimming, like if you start diving and stuff, then you would increase that level of stress, and then you'd be bringing it to a new level, and then that brings around a change. So you've got what's a normal range of activity that you do daily, you've got kind of what's in your genetics that allows you to do, you know, naturally some people are strong, naturally can do this, naturally do that, and then you've got this other range where it's kind of, it's not like, well, I guess it is a mutagenic quality, or adaptogenic would be better, because a mutant sounds like it's sort of like something out of control. But adaptogenic is where the body's trying to adapt and to the stress and look for solutions, which is quite fascinating, because I think within humans there may be a greater range of this adaptogenic qualities than there is in other beings, and that's because possibly, as Vauxhall says about their cars, it said we're all hybrids, so we're not humanist species. We're not exactly as simple as just evolving from one type of being. I think there's some other factors that have gone on, and whether you believe in aliens or not, it doesn't matter. But there is certain alien. I mean, when you got asteroids, it's been said by a scientist. Things like bacteria and stuff. There's stuff that comes from space. It's like meteorites and debris from other planets that have come over here, and anything organic that ever lived there, or could be still living in the soil and so on, is brought over, this genetic material, and dumped on this planet. And it's either taken up by another being, so it's like, and then it's just added to its own genetics, and it's reprocessed, and then it can get into the food chain that way. So there's lots of factors when it comes to bacteria and stuff, and then there's a cross species where you get things that would synthesize themselves with other species, and then they're taking over certain genetic material and they're dumping it in your body. So you've got viruses that enter into your cells and are trying to use your cells to regenerate themselves. They end up, dead viruses get into your system. Your immune system acts like bacteria in itself and recycles stuff. So it's much more complicated, and to be honest, we are like bacteria at some level. So other things about diabetes, I mean, things to be reversed by minerals. Minerals are definitely important. I did advise someone, I just kind of gave them the information. I said, look into palladium and chromium is sort of like two key minerals that helps when treating that type of disorder, and there's other things that you can use as well to improve your health. So, but definitely fats. So if somebody's trying to work at dealing with diabetes, it's not necessarily about reducing the sugar and getting the body back, insulin back. It's about getting it to process fats. So you may increase your fat intake, healthy, whatever it is, you know, because you can get also fats in certain vegetables. They talk about avocados, don't they? So that the body says, hey, we've got a lot of this, we've got a little of that, now we need to start looking at how we process it. And then you could pretty much do that. So if you kept yourself like what you consider healthy fats, I don't know, all fats are pretty healthy. So if your fat level's quite high, and then you start reducing your sugar intake and your glucose, and you just try to get your insulin down, then your body has switched to processing the fats, and then it realises it's got an alternative energy source, and so you want to go to more fats, and identify that you want really fats to be a primary source and the sugar to be a secondary source in your diabetics and condition, I guess, or disorder. It's something that's correctable. Well, it's not permanent. It's just that we end up with things like a mineral deficiency, I think there's something about disease being either damage or deficiency, and so it's all about minerals and the immune system then correcting things. I think issues with the bones is that they've got so things where you've got arthritis is also that the bones store minerals, and I've always been questioned about the fluoride. They don't like anyone questioning it, but it doesn't have to be in our water supply, it doesn't have to be added to everything, and even to be added to toothpaste. It's just ridiculous. Somebody says, oh well, this person's a scientist, so it must be right. There's issues around the nervous system, there's issues around the bones, calcium itself, and because of fluorosis, and there's also calcium used in the brain, and you get these plaques that form around the neurons which cause issues and blocks the signals or reduce connectivity in the brain. So yeah, definitely. So there's a lot of fascinating areas of research. I've got some other projects I'll be doing as well. I might go do some genetic sampling, so I need to go around collecting little, probably bugs and things, just dead things, just put it in my jars, and then I'm going to use a Roy frequency, and I'm going to try to incorporate that with my own genetics. So what you do is put your genetic sample of the subject, whatever that might be, and then put the frequencies through, and it's kind of like trying to create some sort of harmonic connection between your DNA and that DNA. I guess it's no different than having a lot of vaccines. What I'm doing is expose myself to a lot of genetic material, and because it's kind of goes into the metaphysics, quantum realm, reality, that basically behind the scenes is like DOS, there's data, there's information that's controlling this universe, like the Matrix. So that's in the background that you never seem to tap into. But what I'm doing is I'm exposing it to this information, and so that the body is aware of it and how it wants to interpret that program. Because that's in essence, my DNA is a functional program that utilises hard light, which is what this sort of, when you look at photons and you look at atoms and structures like that, they're just basically energy force fields and frequency, and so it makes things like geometric shapes in this universe and all sorts of things, and then we're all made out of these things, and they're piled together. That's why when you look at your skin, it's like little triangular things on it. When you look really close up and so on, it's how it's constructed from shapes, basically. These geometric shapes. Anyway, let's just pick this sign off and speak to you soon.